Welcome to another show, Incredible Cash. I am your host, Cash Flow. That's the name we're going with. So, if you are coming in, please let us know that you are here. We have a special guest today, the legendary Mr. Billy Aiton, Mr. Film himself, whatever name you want to call him, a legendary person in this industry. Been here for almost 40 years. So if you don't know him, we'll get him on in a second. In the meantime, if you're coming in, please welcome yourself. And I got some bots running. All right, guys, can we get some confirmation if anybody's on? If you guys can hear us fine, we will get our special guest coming on any second. Shout out to Eric Devash, Tint Wiz, love this cup. Hello, Marion, how are you tonight? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our guest on. Please welcome Billy Aiton. Billy, can you hear us?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Welcome to the show. Yes, sir, I can hear you just fine. Thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate that.
It was short notice, but I didn't have much else to do tonight.
Well, I was kind of shocked when you volunteered to come on, man. I was kind of shocked to hear your contact last week, because when you say, "Hey, do you know who this is?" and I was like, "Damn, man, who in the hell does not know who Billy is in this industry?" That would be my first question.
Well,
But welcome, sir.
it was because the way it was. I think more the way the text response was when I got a response back. I think it was more like, I'm surprised it didn't show up on technology that you didn't know who it was, because I thought you would know just from the caller ID or whatever the message came through about. So
Yeah, the funny thing was, I was driving when I got your message, and when I missed your call, I missed it because I was on a regular call, and so when you call me through Facebook Messenger, it's not a priority call. If you're on the regular phone, it doesn't come through. So when I saw that missed call and you left me your number, I mean, I knew right off the top who it was, but it was just, I guess because I was driving, it sounded like I didn't know who you were.
right.
T-Town, welcome. All right, I'm gonna put some of these chats up here so that way we can see them as they come in. That was T-Town Tim Johnson. We also got Marion in the house. She said hi, Billy.
Hi, how you doing? I love that lady. She's so nice.
She's an awesome lady. A
Well,
wonderful person to be around.
Cash, you and I got to hang out quite a bit at tenor battles. So
Yeah, it was fun to finally meet you in person. I think I met you for the second time. I don't think we did an introduction until like at the tenor battles.
right,
We met at that Vegas event, the Auto Film Mastery, but it was
that's
just like, we just kind of passed through and that was it. It wasn't no contact, it was no conversation, it was none of that. But, I was glad that we got to talk at Tenor Battles, got to meet you in person. I mean, Tenor Battles, man, every time I start talking about it, I love it because it brings back so much good stuff out of it.
what I liked about the film mastery was there were so many faces I didn't know. I mean, there was like your outer circle of people that were there, and they were all part of the process that mostly were there. Everybody else was so fresh and so new. And I knew somebody from Phoenix that actually came to there that I've watched growing over the past few years, and watching them invest into themselves to grow further in future. that's awesome because I don't see many people willing to invest in themselves, put the money forward to grow, because they've always said it takes money to make money. Doesn't matter where you get the money, but you still need to take that money and make more money with it. You know, so kind of like what you're talking about, cash talks, right?
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm just honored that you know who I am for how short time I've been in the industry and how short time we have this show that you actually reached out to me. I mean, you changed my world that night. That this whole week, it's been like, damn. If Billy reached out to me, there must be an impact I'm making that I'm trying to make for this industry. Is that, some of the, especially the older guys, to kind of realize, hey, man, the new age is the digital age, it's the credit age, that we have to be good at it, just like we have to be good at what we do on our installs. That's the only way we're going to have continuous business. Is same thing with our financials. If our financials are lined up, we're going to be able to succeed and move to the position we want to be in. Hey, good evening, Dustin. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Well, me and you was disgusting, disgusting. It is kind of somewhat about all the information that we are worth right now to the informational world. Even this, what's going on right now, everybody that's showing up, everybody's paying attention. They're knowing you're watching this, and they're seeing what's influencing you and where you're paying attention to and what type of context that you're looking to. They all feed this to the people. And if you start looking at, you were sitting there pointing some of the stuff out to me about how these credit cards can reap you rewards because they're all interconnected nowadays. And if you go to your credit report, you'll see that you can get 20% if you shop here on this card, 1% over here at the shop at the big box store. You're like, wait, hold on, you're going to give me 26% back. That's 20% discount, you guys. That's taking your money from what used to be 80 cents on the dollar and getting a whole 100 for it, so to speak, because, or flip it around either way you want to look at it. But that's just money back in your pocket. And I just kind of really been kind of getting a kick out of the credit card game recently. And that's kind of what me and you got here was because you were talking about credit and stuff like that a couple weeks ago. I kind of caught a little bit of that show, and about having to have your credit and putting these cards, your businesses on cards instead of debit cards, knowing the difference. And Cash, what you're doing for the people out here, and something you're going to find out is the more you do this, the more you're going to have people come up and tell you what you just said to me about how that changed your life and stuff like that. Little things that you don't understand are going to change someone's life. Just as trying to explain what pressure sensitive adhesive is to somebody can actually put the dots together, how that film's applying and why it's working, why it ain't working for them. Those little things that were subtle to them, they showed how to tint it, but they don't know why the PS is working that way. So little tiny things they could just be missing that can throw them off. And some of the stuff that I know when I got into this business was there was none of this digital age at all. So if you went and didn't pay this apartment over here and you got kicked out for making too much noise or partying or anything like that, you can go get yourself another apartment. That was back in the 80s and 90s. About 2000, 2004, this computer thing started showing up and they started connecting to each other. And pretty soon I was like, Mr. Aiton, you did what to this apartment over here? You didn't pay your rent. You didn't do this. And what's this credit stuff? Because I came in at 15 years old and I had nothing but green in my hand. That lettuce tastes good on burgers, tacos, no matter what. That lettuce is great. But you know what? It's a filler for everything. Really, lettuce doesn't have anything in it, honestly. You put it and try to feed it to a rabbit, you kill a rabbit if you feed it nothing but lettuce. So I was just basically throwing that money out the window, not knowing anything about credit, not knowing anything about how the credit actually can save you money in certain situations, how cash is king. But unfortunately, that's not how it is today, guys. You can't go into a coffee shop and drop $100 bill on a cup of coffee. They're going to say, we don't take anything over 20.
That's so true. That is so true that now you run into A lot of places that don't even want to take cash, especially since COVID hit. There are still a lot of places out there that don't want to touch cash, and especially the larger bills. So, when you carry $100, everybody looks at you funny like $100 not worth that much anymore, first of all. But if you do take that out and you're trying to pay with the $100, they want to look at it like, do a CSI on the damn thing, make sure it's real, first of all. And then second of all, they give you more problem for that than they do with the credit cards. So we just kind of have to realize and change with the world, and we have to adapt to it, because if you don't adapt to it, we get left behind on it. Honestly, that's my opinion on that. So that's why I just want to, help out the industry, stay on top of it. I forgot to say hello to Valor and Jeremy. Jeremy came in here. He said he had a comment for you. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but I'll let you read it. And then you got Marion saying so many people don't know you can negotiate with credit card companies for a better interest rate. That's true. You have to have the credit score to be able to do that before you get into that. We have one of the champions here. You don't accept cash, it's free. Have to accept legal tender. I'm not talking about me, Kyle. I'm talking about there are some facilities out there that don't want to handle anything over, like a fast food places. They don't want to and they don't want to accept over $20. So there's some places where they don't want to take any cash, and they have the excuse of COVID now. But a lot of people are now transitioning over to the credit cards. I mean, I'll tell you my business. In the early 2000s, we did 90% cash transactions. I'm talking about 90%. I used to walk into my bank. I'm a tire and wheel guy. So we had large items. If I tell you I walked in with the bank with a $30,000 cash deposit, it was another day in the life of the tire and wheel business. $50,000 in my pockets, not even a special bag for it. I would pull out 10 here, 10 there, 10 back here, 10 back here. There's $40,000. It's nothing. Now you pull out, $10,000, and they want to take your social security, what business you're in, what's your mother's name, what all this stuff for freaking $10,000. And the banks are afraid to take that much money from you. I literally had a credit union right before COVID hit, froze my account because I opened up an account with them, and we did $35,000 in cash transaction with them. This is February, March. Tax season comes around February, March. So all of a sudden our transactions go really high. When you're dealing with tires and wheels, each customer is easily $2,500, $3,000. Okay, so if you got, let's say, 10 deals, you're talking about $25,000 easily in cash. And a lot of these guys are coming in with that cash. So I had a credit union. I'm not gonna name them because I don't want to bash anybody, but they literally closed my account because they're like, you're bringing in too much cash, and we suspect, we suspect some stuff. That's pretty much all they said. Basically, they're saying that I'm trying to do money laundering, and I'm like, dude, look at my credit history, look at my other account, a bigger bank that I do a lot more transaction with. This is normal for me. I can prove you whatever you need, provide you with whatever you need. And I literally, when I opened the account, I talked to them about that. But you are 100% right. Now, if you want to do anything, you have to have the credit. Forget if you don't want to do anything, you want to get a car insurance. The car insurance is affected by what your credit score is. Like you said, you want to go live. You want to go get an apartment. You want to go get a house. You want to start a business. Guess what? The landlord, first thing they're going to look at is now, how's your credit? How are you going to be able to pay your bill on time? So there's a lot of that stuff going on that we have to be aware of, and we have to adapt, and we have to be ahead of it. Like you said, turning that cash money. Look, as a vendor, when you take in a credit card, you're paying that merchant fee at the end of the year. End of the month. My merchant fees are over $1,000 a month. That's money that goes out of my hand. Now, how do I turn that around? I've learned tricks to use what you just said, those credit cards with those points. Now I can even out myself, because now I can get business cards that have high points on it that will adjust my money so that way I'm not always losing out.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are some of the little things out there. Dustin's got something to say. I'm still fighting the ripple effect of poor spending and not understanding or trying to understand better money practices when I was younger. Hey man, I was in the same line. That's why I'm here trying to teach people or even trying to, correct some of the people that have made mistakes because I was at a point, '06. I won't, I'll be straight up about it. I moved to Orlando from Sacramento, California to Orlando, Florida. My credit was so shot, I couldn't get a rental house. I literally had to have my brother come in and rent a house under his name so I can live and run a new business over there. And it wasn't about the money I had in my hand. I could easily pay 3 months in advance. I had the cash for it. I just didn't have the credit for it. And for them to get you a house, it was $100 fee to see if you qualified. And if you didn't qualify, you lost that $100. And if you qualified, all you had to do was put the deposit and pay the first month's rent. It was simple as that. And I did two transactions. I didn't get it, and then I had to get my brother to come in and help me out.
You're hitting on a subject that a lot of tenors that don't have a job, that don't get a W-2 in the mail, have to deal with, and that's called proof of income. And proof of income is so important when it comes to buying a car, buying a house, and that credit, that is in line there too. Okay. So since you have lack of proof of income, they call this thing a stated, which is going to go against you a couple points automatically. So you're going to have to offset those points with the high credit. Okay. In order to do that, you're going to have to either take some money, take it, put it on a credit card and get yourself a secured account, take yourself a loan. If you guys got all that money and stuff and you're buying those cash car, you see that car over there? I'm going to go buy that for cash. Go get a loan. Put that thing on a loan, then go buy the car on the cash and then pay that loan off on that car. Okay. You're going to build credit.
You can you can do a trick on that.
What's
You
that?
can trick that system too. So like let's say you want to buy a $30,000 car and you have the $30,000 in cash in hand. What you need to do, how to benefit more really quick on that and improve your credit score is get that car on a loan. I don't care if it's a 5 year, 6 year, 10 year loan. Get that loan, but just have the option to pay it off. As long as you report that car for 3 months and you pay it off in the fourth month, now you just had a $30,000 loan that you had and then you just paid off in a timely manner or before a time. That boosts your credit score real quick. Like literally, you're slingshotting the damn thing easily 30 points, if not more, depending on where you are on your credit. So you can always turn everything around and use it to your benefit, even if you have the cash. But what you got to realize, like you're saying, is that you need that credit for a lot other things now than what you used to, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, especially after the 2008 fiasco. Everybody and everything is now based on your credit. They want to know how well are you established on your credit? How do you make your payments? Are you on time? Are you reliable? It doesn't matter. Even your credit card, I mean, even your cable company, you want to get cable, guess what they're doing? They're checking your credit score to make sure that you can get that cable turned on without any extra security deposits. Electric bill. I remember trying to get an electric bill turned on and my credit was shot. I had to turn the electric bill on my wife's name because her credit wasn't shot. Mine was. She had fresh credit, so she didn't need a deposit like I did. My deposit was $330. I still remember this. I mean, 2000 and what was this? 2009, 2010. They wanted $330 for me to turn on the electric. That's up over here in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. They wanted $330 for electric to just turn on. That's my deposit because my credit was shot. So it makes a big difference.
Well, what worked for me was just basically first thing was getting a zero. And what does that mean for most people? That means getting out of your debt. Okay. If you got unsecured debt out there and it's just overhanging your head, you don't want to carry it. Even if you have credit cards and you're using these credit cards, don't carry that debt. If you do, carry 10% or less of every credit card, because heaven forbid something happens, you got hurt, you don't have to pay that thing off. Okay. You can use the card like cash nowadays, anyways, and get more benefits back to you than your card, except for at the gas station. That's probably one of the few places where cash is going to work out, unless you got a cash card, which will give you twice as much points back if you got a certain card. So if you're using a lot of gas and mileage like me, it'd be probably prudent to get yourself a gas credit card,
Yeah.
because you're going to sit there and get so much rewards back and knock those things back that you're going to get the payback on it. Me, I finally went out and got myself an airline one, not for the rewards point, just because the extra baggage and stuff, and the availability to get into certain places without sitting there waiting in line, getting your seat preferences, all this just because you have their card. You don't, and you get some discounts and stuff like that, and you get points when you use their card to buy the stuff. So I'm sitting there trying to fly up to Denver, going, well, if I fly it this way, it's cheap, and if I fly it back over here, so I'm using two different airlines to fly to make this cheaper. Or I could fly, heaven forbid, Spirit, or then when you look at the baggage fees on those, well, you're back up to your regular airlines. So might as well have the benefit of those cards and use those cards to get that money back towards me. So I've been utilizing that. Now, if my film companies want to put a 2% cash back on one of these company cards, I'd probably go get a company card there. That might be an option for them, Eastman, to put a credit card out for us and stuff, because a lot of places don't carry terms, and you don't want terms. You guys don't want to really carry terms with film companies, really, you don't. Just in case something happens. If you're on terms, that means that you're probably waiting for a check too, and your capital's not there. So you want to regularly have that capital available. And if you're going to do it, put it on a credit card and get some points back on it. Because that's what I do. I buy every bit of my film on my company card, and I get points back on it, regardless if they're giving me any extra points or not back. Especially when I just got a 5% increase on my email. So it's only 3%. Which way do you want to look at it? I am getting that money back one way or the other, just because I'm using a card and not my debit card, which I could use my bank card. I could write a check and get it, no benefit whatsoever back on it. So the credit cards are beneficial to you. Take them as little as possible and use them as much as possible. That's the way I would suggest credit card business, because you do that, become a freeloader off the system, and you'll end up with thousands of dollars in your pocket by the end of the year, just by using the credit card instead of using cash. But I honestly, do you think the cash system, I don't want to get conspiratorial, but the last couple of years, all they want to do is hand me large bills, and they ask me, would you like that in large bills? Not like, how would you like that anymore? Would you like large bills? Exactly, putting it out there, suggesting that you're wanting large bills. So then you're sitting there walking around being inconvenienced because you got all these large bills going, I just want a cup of coffee.
Welcome, Jordan. Shady J just joined. Welcome, Jordan. And he said if he can comment. Of course you can comment, bro. Come on. If you can't comment, nobody can comment. But yeah, you're 100% right. Look, Marian just said this earlier, is that the government wants us to use credit cards.
True.
And it's so true. They want to track as much as they can, because at the end of the day, we're just a number to them. And more they have information on us, the easier they can track us, analyze us, see where we're spending our money, how we're spending our money, and how they can control us better. I don't care whether you call that conspiracy or not, bro. At the end of the day, it is what it is, whether you like it or not. I just learned how to play the system to make it work for me, where it's going to benefit me at the end of the day. That's all I care about, is that, listen, I'm not going to make a big ripple in the government's big pool. There's no way I can do that. Even if the whole film industry gets together, they can't do that. Look at what's going on with the trucking industry right now. They got this regulation where they only get 14 hours, and it doesn't matter if you're stuck in traffic. It doesn't matter if you're loading, if you're unloading, whatever. You get 14 hours total. Now they're stuck with, hey, 14 hours made us 10 minutes late to Walmart's delivery, and now Walmart says I'm not going to take this until the next day. Now who's going to pay them for that whole day? Because they get paid by the miles. So that's the same thing like we talk about is on credit cards. We're being forced into it. But if we're being forced into it, why not get ahead of the curve, learn it, and use it to our benefit, like you're talking about, Billy? Is why not we learn how to use this the rewards? Look, I'm going to Mike Powell's grand opening, okay? And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go stay at a hotel. It's gonna cost me, some money. I might as well. It's a over 6 hour drive. I might as well take the family with me. So I was like, with my kids as well as my niece and nephews, like, you guys want to come along? I'll rent a nice ass Airbnb. You guys can stay by the lake, enjoy yourself while I go, be at this event. My brother's like, shit, you're taking the kids, my wife, and all that. Shit, I want to fly in, but he works on Saturday. So he wants to fly in. Guess what? I had a Southwest card. I have these points. It's a $250 flight. Guess how much he paid for that flight with my card? Give me a guess, Billy.
Nothing.
Anybody? Give me a guess. He paid a little bit, but I want to give me a guess, guys. Anybody wants to win something? Give me a guess. I'll give you either a gift card or a couple of those Tint Wiz flags or whatever, and I'll ship it to you.
And it's making it hard for us to save our money, guys. There's only a couple ways a tax man can't touch your money. That's Roth or life insurance. You young people, anybody under 30, get on it. Under 40, jump on it. After that, you guys start looking at different types of insurances. You need to. Those life insurances, you guys can borrow against. They're cash terms. There's money available to you when you get old. Don't count on Social Security. I'm just telling you, things could get weird.
That is a great point, man. I want to come back to that. That is, you don't know how many people don't realize it. The only reason I didn't point that out, and I've had Randy Humphrey's wife say this on one of my posts as well, is that everybody needs life insurance. The hell you do. And you're talking about not only needing and having life insurance, you're talking about taking advantage of having life insurance. That being said, Ilyu, you are right on the money, man. Paid $5.40 for that flight. $5.40 for a $250 flight from here to Richmond, Virginia. From Atlanta to Richmond, Virginia. We just booked it today, and the flight is Saturday, so it's in 5 days. So that's why it's so expensive. But a $250 flight for $5.40. Yeah, there's ways you can get it for free, but with this one here, it was just $5.40. That's less than a coffee. Go to Starbucks, you're gonna spend $8-10 on it. Now he's flying.
If you have $100. Not if you have $100, you're getting your
coffee. Elio, whatever you want. I know you were at the tenor battle, so you probably don't want the flags. You probably got the flags. Let me know if you want a gift card. Shoot me a message on my message with your address. I'll shoot you over a gift card, brother. And welcome to the show. So let's go to your life insurance. Give us a little knowledge on life insurance. What do you got? What do you recommend? What do you know about the life insurance game?
I was unfortunate. By the time I found out about it, I'd already had this hepatitis C thing. Got the hepatitis C thing, and once you become like not insurable kind of thing, they put these marks against you, and then your insurance rate's going to go really, really high. The older you get, the more money your insurance is going to cost you per month. So get in. That's why I say get in young. Once you get in, you're locked. If you're paying $30 a month now, you're paying $30 a month when you're my age, okay? And it's going to be worth a lot of money by then. Now, for me to jump into it, I'm looking at $75 a month, okay? Just at a basic entry level for me to get into a $60,000 life insurance policy. That's only for $60,000.
There's a reflection here. What you're just talking about. I've actually taken a course on this. Okay, so I was in the same boat you were, but I don't know. There's a reflection coming on, but a 25-year-old male with a $250,000 policy is gonna pay $18 A female is gonna pay $15. Okay, this is
Cha-ching.
what they call a term insurance. Now, look at the
Mhm.
same policy, and you go to Billy, your age, over 50. You're talking about $92 for a male, $76 for a female. Okay, now if you take the same policy and you want to double that number, let's say you want a half a million, 500, and this is the older stuff that I pulled because I took this course years ago, but it's still relevant. Okay, the information is still relevant. The rates might change a little bit, but the point is you can get a double the coverage without paying double the money. Now you're only paying 175 instead of paying $184 for that, and that's for somebody that's old. But look at a 25-year-old, 1849 for a 250, $31 for a 500,000. That's a half a million dollars. When you're younger, if you have these things right, you pay a lot less and you lock in that rate for the rest of the rest of your life. And there's term, there's whole, there's IULs. What Billy was just talking about is taking the money back and using them money in your life insurance. That is what they call IULs. IULs literally will grow your money, still give you that life insurance, and you can borrow that back from your own self, like borrowing from the bank, but you don't have to pay it back or you don't have to pay interest on it. It's free money that you make your own bank by making regular payments into your IULs. So there's, and I'm in the same boat as where you were, but Billy, I'm gonna get with you on how to still get some kind of coverage if you're still interested in it. There's ways
Yeah,
around
my
it.
guy was up my butt about me today because I was just redoing my insurance today, and he couldn't offer me anything. He told my insurance, good age insurance, to say, Billy, you need to go somewhere else. That's what he told me. He says
Yeah,
you're paying
you
way
gotta
too much with me right now with your credit and everything like that. Where you're at, you're paying almost double what what you're with me. So he switched me over to another person and dropped me in half.
yeah,
So that's what he did, And a good insurance agent isn't about themselves or taking care of you. So your insurance agent, get a relationship with that person.
exactly.
Speaking of insurances, I mean, I'm not going to try to throw TFAC out there, but TFAC has got some wonderful things and they can offer more. I started a 501 a few years ago, and one of the plans was to start a group insurance, group rate insurance, group 401ks and stuff like that for window tinters. Okay. During the process, one of the things I did achieve was AFLAC, and we got a nationwide account all the way across the United States of America. You get what the time was a family of four, $55 if for a guy like myself, down to $33 a month. Now, if you guys know about supplemental insurance and stuff like that, I've got this little spot right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet, pay a little extra for TFAC. I mean, excuse me, for my AFLAC, because once that gets determined as cancer, I'm no longer available for any cancer policies. You
Right.
get a supplemental policy, something like that, that could take care of you a long ways down the road when you do start having cancer problems and stuff like that to do. There's so many different things that you can pay for a supplemental insurance that'll pay you money back when you go down. Some of our tenors are going down and stuff like that, only for months or a few months and stuff like that, could actually get some money back, cash back from their insurances to help them, pad a little bit of that inconvenience that's going to happen during these times. There's ways to prepare yourself for these things. I mean, I was prepared for 3 months. Honestly, I think you need to be prepared for like a year because I might be going down for a shoulder injury, could put me down for 6 weeks. Okay. I don't know how a business is going to recover from a 6 week downfall. So there's going to have to be something to provide for somehow or another. But my business was able to hold through 2 months. So I had 3 months, 90 days. And it finally kicked back in. If it wasn't for that, this mortgage payment wouldn't have got paid. I would have started all that because of just trying to put it away. And then trying to get that saved back up can take years just to get to the point where you can be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months ahead. But if you don't start, like that quote I put up, you got to start to be great. You have to. No matter what, if you don't start, you're just standing still, and the world's going to keep going by, and pretty soon you're going to sit there going like this with all this cash, and you're going to say, can I turn this in? I bet you those Confederates still had a hard time trying to put all that Confederate money in right here. Here's my Confederate cash. How much was that worth? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, paper is only an agreed value. It's just paper. And it's saying, when they say it's worth nothing, then it'll be worth the paper that you can wipe your rear with. It's some nice paper, by the way, because they spend some good money on it.
So here's another thing that you guys may want to look at is that I'm not sure if you guys know what the value of money is every year. Okay, what your money is actually worth. If you put $100 under your mattress today, you take that same $100 next January 2024. Do you think it's still worth the $100? Say that same thing in 25 or in 2030 or 2033. That same dollar on average loses over 5%. On average, there's years where it loses more value, there's years where it loses less value. But on average, in a 20-year scale, you're losing 3 to 5% in value. So what I had in 2003, if I take that same money, if I had $10,000 under my mattress and I go and take that $10,000 to the bank today, I'm not going to be able to buy the exact same thing for that $10,000 because guess what? Everything's gone up. Look at gasoline, look at houses, look at burger, everything's gone up. That's the value of money. If you hold that money in a place where it does not grow, you're losing money even though you're keeping it in under your mattress. That money ultimately is losing value. So how do you not lose value? Is you got to learn how to invest and how to take on compound interest. Compound interest is very important to learn and how to use because compound interest is where you want to be at with at least 8 to 10% growth every year so you can stay ahead of that flow. Not only are you cutting down what that money devalue is, but you're also growing your money gradually. And if you grow your money gradually, compound just means that it's just going to keep on adding, but it's going to add more on top of what you already have. That's why it's called compound. It's taking that money and it's almost doubling it. On average, you're going to double your money in a very short time once you have that going. The first few years is hard, but once that it starts compounding properly, man, that thing takes off. Like, you're gonna have a retirement money that you never thought was even possible for you. And all you gotta do is put in maybe a little money every month in it. You can do a weekly if that's easier for you. You could do a monthly if that works for you. But that saving, instead of just throwing in a savings account, because savings accounts don't give you nothing, man. Savings account give you 0.05% or 0.03%, which is nothing. Again, you're losing 3 to 5% a year. If you're not gaining more than 5% a year, you're not getting anything. You're losing money. So the people that just put them in their saving account saying, hey, I have a saving account and I have this money, you're losing that money if you're not investing it in a proper way, or you're not investing in something that's gradually growing your money. Once you get to a good point, portfolios have diverse portfolios where you have some kind of growth going on in a different sector. So if one sector takes a dive, the other one does not. That we were talking about IULs. There are IULs that guarantee growth. They may not guarantee 10, 12% like some of them do, but they do guarantee gradual growth of like 8%. Now, if you get an 8% gradual growth in 20 years and you're staying ahead of that 5% growth, guess what? You're still gaining 3%. Where you can invest, so you can invest in a lot of these Fortune 500 companies with some of these IULs that will give you 8 to 10% growth. You want to talk to somebody that can do that for you. If you can't get in that, you can also do that in some of the 401ks. You can get a 401k plan that has a high risk. They have a higher risk that pays you over 10%. They have a medium risk that pays you between 5 and 10%. And they have a low risk. Low risk pays you about 3 to 5%. Those are some of the things that Richard said anybody who wants to invest with him. Richard, what you got, man? Let us know. Give us the secrets, man. This is the whole point about this show is everybody sharing their tips and tricks to grow all of us. You know, if we can grow together, we can grow as a community and we can be better, especially ourselves and our children tomorrow.
Cash.
Uh, yes, sir.
My close relative of mine uh tried to throw something at me the other day, just a small sack. I caught it. And the thing weighed about 30 pounds. And I pull them out, and they're silver bars, stamped, weighted. And that's what he's been doing with his money. He's also got gold. He's got a whole stack of gold coins. He's actually been buying this physical gold and put in physical silver and any those types of commodities what he can put his hands on.
So the one thing on that I would say is gold is the oldest traded material as back as time can be told. Okay, silver has its ups and downs. Diamonds is what's current right now. Diamond, there is no actual value. Gold has actual value across the world where it goes by how much gold, what the carat is, and what the weight is. So if you're gonna invest in something, my personal opinion, and you can talk to somebody that's a better investor into this field, is that if you do want to invest in anything, invest in gold because gold is traded across the world. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're in Africa, if you're in Europe, if you're in Asia. I mean, shit, if you're in Asia, they only like 22 or 24 karat golds. They don't play with 18 karat golds. That we do that in the States, man. Shit, some of the Asian people I know, man, if unless it's over 18, like 22 and 24, they don't want to deal with it. 14 karat gold, hell no, that's too garbage to them. So there's different levels of gold that the purity of it is what the commodities are considered and valued at. The other thing that, hey, a lot of people don't look at, if you have the funds, invest in any kind of real estate. I don't care if you go in a nowhere land and buy a small land. The way the growth is, the land. I'll give you an example. In '92, my uncle had a shop in Sacramento. Okay, he had a corner spot, and then there was I want to say 2 acre spot right next to it. This guy that was selling it wanted $80,000 from my uncle for a little bit over 2 acres on a main highway. My uncle was like, "No, I don't want that. It's not any interest to me." Blah blah blah, whatever. Right? 2 years goes by. That same land gets sold for $150,000. '98 comes around. That same land they built a little car lot on and a mechanic shop on was worth almost $900,000. If you look at it from '92 to '98, that's 6 years, man. Just because they put a little building on it, and they got it marketed it properly, it went up from $80,000 to $900,000. That's over 1,000% growth. Now you can go to some of these places that are far off. So if you're in Atlanta, try to buy anything in Atlanta, it's gonna cost you arm and a leg. But you can go out here past Buford. I remember when I first came to Atlanta in '07, man, you used to go Buford Highway by Duluth, and you would have a whole patch of un uh, empty land, like a farmland like type of deal. Right now, that same stretch has taken all the way to Buford, the city itself, and it's filled up, and those places are costing crazy amount of money. And that's just from '07 to what, 23? That's 16
Mhm.
years, man. If you had this farmland that was worth maybe $150,000, that same farmland now is worth 1.5 million.
Yeah, my house has went up over $500,000 in the past 15 years.
Look, Richard's got. I'll give you 10% over your investment in 1 year. Richard, what kind of investment you got that's gonna give a 10% in 1 year? Share that with us, bud.
Well, depends how much he's lending you. That's worth some money.
I mean, if it's 1,000, you got to look at it 10%. If it's 10,000, look at it. And then the other thing is, my always question is, what is the risk factor? How am I guaranteed that 10%? What is the guarantee? What is the value of that return? What happens if we're all worried about the stock market right now? Everybody's looking at the economy. Everybody's getting ready for that recession, that financial dip that comes around. It's about time that everybody talked about. Like, hey, Trump just pushed the years onto us, but it is what it is. We are seeing the slowdown in the marketplace. I don't know about you guys, but my tires and wheel business last week was the shittiest week we've had in this whole last 6 months. Worse than December. I'm talking about like we were literally squatting flies. It was bad. We all cleaned up our desk. We all cleaned up our showroom. We reorganized our showroom. Who the hell does that? In January. I can understand doing that in November or December, but in January, remodeled some of our showroom because that's how slow we were. And that was on a Saturday, man. Like Friday and Saturdays, you normally come into my shop. I have a waiting list for three. I have a waiting time for 2 to 3 hours. Right now, shoot, that last Saturday, it was so slow. Like God. And then on top of that, I'm already stocking off for the season because regardless, I have to be prepared if it takes off. And it will take off. I know it will take off, but you have to be, like you said, cash flow. You have to have that cash flow to make sure when you use a term account that you have the money to pay for that term account. The biggest mistake, what you were talking about earlier, Billy, was that people will take term accounts, but they won't have the cash flow to back up that term account. So if you're gonna go open up a term account, I've learned this over the years, is don't go open up a term account or don't get a credit line unless you have the ability to pay off that credit line right away. If you cannot pay off that credit line, don't go get a credit line that you're going to screw yourself off with. And you hit it right on the head earlier. Whatever you charge on that card, pay that card off by the end of that cycle. When that month ends, it closes, before the due date, pay the damn thing off. You talked about 10%. So here's another thing I want to let our viewers know. Back in the day, or some of the books will still show you that 10% is what they want you to be under. If you want to grow your credit score, they want you under 4%. 10% means that you're good. They'll keep you at where you're at, or up and down by 5 to 10 points for the most part, especially if you're in the high 700s. If you're in the 800s, then you're looking at about 20 points fluctuation. If you're under that 4, and me and Jason Tenerduth had talked about this on another show, is that my goal is to be under 3%, because I've seen being under 3%, I am close to the 850 credit score that I'm aiming for. I'm at a point where I have over easily $100,000 of personal credit available at any given time. I have unlimited business credit card because of what my personal and what my business together has combined and established in the last, 3 to 5 years.
Now,
Where we,
Cash,
yes, sir.
an important part too about paying it off is talk to your credit card company and find out when their reporting date is.
Yeah.
You
So
want it
we
before the
talked about
reporting
that.
statement date, because your statement date, what your bill date is, what your due date, that's fine. But you want to pay it before it actually goes to the credit reporting, because when the credit reporting sees that, let's say with me, I put I got $10,000 card and I bought $8,000 worth of film. I'm paying that off immediately. But if I did it on the wrong day and it showed $8,000 on there, it's going to show 80% of my card use. That next month, my credit points are going to see it. It's going to drop down because of that 80% usage on that card instead of an 8%, which I'm usually lower than, you know. So those were some of the mistakes I learned whenever I started using the credit card to use it for everything, was trying to make sure that I didn't uh, get reported as a high balance, because that balance will stay on there for 30 days as a high balance until they report it next time and show that down. And it may affect you if you went out there thinking that you're good, and all of a sudden you took a 60-point hit just like that because you did that. And maybe you're like, well, now you got an inquiry for nothing if you wanted to go buy that vehicle or something like that.
All
There's
right.
that.
So what I want to show you, and we did this some time ago, is I'm gonna let's put this at 200. Okay, so 200 is a little bit too much. Let me go back to 150. All right, so I made this spreadsheet. This is the easiest way. We kind of talked about this. I've got 3 different spreadsheets. What this is a simple one to kind of follow. All with this, all you're doing is you're knowing when your due dates are. You're knowing what your statements balance is, what your total balance is, and how much you paid and when you paid it, and what your credit score is. Okay. But if you go into this one here, which is basically the same thing but with a little bit more detail, what this adds is what is your credit limit, what is your credit availability, what is your closing date. This is what you're talking about, Billy, right here, the closing date. Okay, so what you got to go through is the cards you have. You got to go through them and write it down one time. Once you write it down, every month they're gonna fluctuate slightly, but they're all gonna be about the same time. This is how you understand it. And if you want to really get into the nasty and the dirty and know everything, there's a third spreadsheet that has everything that credit statement has. And I have it for every single one of my cards. This is the one I check every, let's say every 6 months. I go back and I redo everything on it. But the credit card simple, where what's my due date, what my statement balance, what my total balance, and how much I paid and when I paid it. And I keep up with my credit score, and I write down who my credit bureau is, scoring company, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. And even with Experian, you see here, depending on who you're dealing with and when it was reported, that's why I have dates on it. They're all gonna fluctuate. So you take, when you're going to a credit score or you're going to go get something, your credit score is gonna based on your lowest to your highest. Now, some of them then will take the middle, 835. A lot of them are gonna look at the 826, the lowest credit score you have. And they're gonna look at all 3 companies. So Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. These are your 3 companies that report stuff to your credit cards. Okay? And you want to make sure that all 3 of them are around the same. So if you look at these 3, I got an 826, 835, and 858. The 858 isn't a real score because the 858 is based off of 900. This 826 and 835 is based on an 850. Most credit card companies are basing it off the 850. There are a few that will base it off of 900. So you got to know what they're basing your credit score from to make sure that you're hitting it right. But you need to do this spreadsheet, and this is a very simple spreadsheet to do. It only takes about 30 minutes to an hour to do it on all your cards if you have your access or your statements in front of you, because all this information is available on your statements as well as your online credit reporting agencies, your credit logins.
Now, when
And
I called you,
yes,
when
sir.
I called you about the jingle jangle, okay, about how I've got all of a sudden 9 cards in my wallet,
Right.
and I'm like, okay, do I need all 9 cards? How many is too many cards? What's enough? Not enough cards? Where should I eliminate cards, the processing of the cards, and stuff to that nature. A lot of them have good startup benefits and offers and stuff like that. And after a year, those benefits go away and stuff like that. What do you do with those cards after you lose those benefits and stuff to that nature? Do you keep them on? Do you use them time to time? How do you keep this available? Because history of credit also applies to your credit, your score too. So,
Right.
the longer a credit card is on there, the better it looks for you.
All right. So for that, there are 2 things. Okay. I'm gonna go back to what we were showing. So on this credit score here, what you want to go for that one is the middle screen that has your credit limits. Remember what I talked to you about. You want to take a look at who you have the lowest amount of credit with, available wise. And you want to, if I have, these are my, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8 credit, okay? So there's $169,000 available combined with all my credit cards, okay? That's 8 cards here. If I'm saying that I don't want to keep all 8, or I want to get the most benefit out of them, I'm gonna look at the 2 with the lowest amount of credit available to me. Okay, that's how much I can charge up. I'm gonna reach out to this card once a year and say, hey, I need a credit increase, credit limit increase. If they're gonna increase my credit and match up with what I've got with the other people, I will keep them. If not, I will discontinue this card and only focus on the other ones that are, for my example here, that's over $20,000. Now, if I go to the one with all the bells and whistles, look what I've got done here. Uh, Score date, everything is on here, but down here I've actually written down when I applied for a credit increase. Last credit increase. So my last credit increase was 12/21. Okay, that's when I did my last increase. So now I'm due for, it's a year, I'm due for another credit increase. So last time I applied to these 5 credit companies, but if you look at it, I have City and City, and then I have a PNC and a PNC. That's why I have 4 transactions here and I have a 5th one here. In reality, I've only got 3 because I have one here. This PNC and this PNC are same. This city and this city are the same company. So it's only a 1 inquiry, but I have 2 of the cards because I have one for Costco and I have one is called their Diamond. Okay, same thing with PNC. That's my bank I bank with. One is the core, one is their reward. But because I'm calling them up at one time, I'm letting them know that I want the increase in both cards. They're still only gonna pull one report for me because it's the same bank. I make that clear. But I don't go in here and I don't go and apply for multiple credit scores, and I don't go apply for multiple increases throughout the year, because I've learned if you do an increase more than once or twice a year, it actually hurts your credit score. So you want to have less than 3 credit inquiries. There's actually a whole screen I've done on this. If you want to look at it, I've done it where there's a hard card, soft card inquiries, why my score goes up and down, all this stuff that will affect your credit score. And in here, there is this line right here, what you were talking about, how much your credit is affected. Okay, if you do payment history, credit usage, credit history, total balance owed, credit checks or inquiries, credit checks and inquiries will affect you up to 10%. Okay, there's all that stuff. This is something that you want to focus on. Like when you're doing your credit, this is one of the screens that you want to focus on. The other screen you want to focus on is this one here. This is where we were talking about credit scores. You see here on the very top one, there's an 800 to 850 and an 800 to 900. Because depending on who you're dealing with, some of them are basing it off the 850 and some of them are basing it off the 900. Now, when you go down to the under the 800, they're all basing it off around the same thing. Good doesn't mean shit in credit cards. Very good is where it really helps you out. Good just means that they'll lend to you. You're not gonna get great interest on it. You're gonna get a lending. Where you're in the fair, most of the people are not gonna lend you, and if they do lend you, they're gonna hit you with over 20% APR. Most likely, you're gonna be in the 21 to 29% APR. Some of them even go up in the 30s. Good just means that you're probably gonna be based off between 9 and 20%. Very good is gonna put you in the 3 to 9% APR. And if you're on the exceptional over the 800, that's the golden ticket, then you can go walk in and be like, hey, this is what I want, this is how I want it, and I want you to give it to me, and you're gonna bend over. I'm not, because I can go to somewhere else and get the exact same shit because I have the credit to back it up. That right now, my friend, on a lot of things is better than cash deals, because what the industry and what the world is turning into, especially in the United States, is turning into the credit base. They're not turning it into that, hey, cash is king. Cash is slowly not becoming king anymore. It's what are you worth? Look at it, any of these big guys, your Amazon, uh, Basil, he's based off of what he's worth. Okay, Trump is based on what he's worth, not what he has. Bill Gates is what he's worth, not what he actually has in liquid cash. Everything now, Warren Buffett, it's all about his investments and what he's worth, man. And that's what we got to realize. That's where the world is going into. That's what the United States is going into. And if you're going to be in the States and you want the benefits, you need to know how to reap these benefits and take advantage of it.
Hopefully, they don't start attaching a social score to you.
Exactly. But hey, any words, anything else you want to share, Billy? I know we just hit the 1 hour mark, so
I just stuff I've just experienced. Really more grateful that you're helping the young guys out because as a kid, none of this was available to me. I learned through the hard way. By the time you figure it out, now you have 7 years of this stuff before it even falls off your credit. Some of it can be pretty dang, public records and stuff like that. You got kicked out of an apartment and you made the guy mad enough to come and garnish your wages. That doesn't go away real quick, you guys. It stays on you for a long time. So you're trying to develop all this stuff, and then you get your money saved up, and hiccups will come along and wipe your savings out. That's why you might want to start with the other programs and getting those credit, because I'd much rather let that compounding interest go and here put it on a credit card if I had that emergency situation. That's kind of what I would need that credit card for more than anything. That's the way I feel like. Oh wow, got the air conditioning went out. I Here, just get it done. You know what I mean? We'll fix that later if I don't have the money for it right now. Those are the few times that I'd ever want to have to use a credit card would be in an emergency situation to carry a credit balance whatsoever. And then that way I can leave my cash alone and not take those hits that I've taken over the past 10 years of the wiping out that compiling interest that should be really high by now because I've taken away from it and has not continually compounded.
So that's a great point you got to look at. Listen, you can either make the compounding work for you or it will work against you. Like you said, if you got those credit card, it's going to compound interest. That's why your balance that turns in from, what we were talking the other day, you said 39 cents or something, that pound that you didn't pay off in time and it turned into a whole bunch of extra money, right? I had that one situation where I had an employee that had a 3 cents balance because when he made the final payment, he was off by 3 cents. And that turned into a collection because he didn't pay attention to his statements as they were coming in because he thought they were paid off. He thought they were junk. And then he got put into collection after 3 months because for 3 months he didn't reply. The first time it was $35. 3 cents turned into $35.03. Next month it turned into a $70.03. And then it turned into $100 and some dollars and 3 cents. And then it got turned into collections. Now you got collections involved. So now just that's the bad part about it. But if you invest wisely, like we talked about, either a 401k that has investment into it or IULs. IULs are more safer. Plus they have a life insurance that's attached to it. So God forbid something happens to you tomorrow, your family and your loved ones are taken care of. Because how many of us are the breadwinners, or how many of us the whole family relies on, or majority of them will rely on our income. Something happens. Aflac is a good program. Aflac is more on covering medical bills and stuff in that aspect than covering you for, God forbid, for the worst thing, life ending situations. You got a house mortgage. What's going to happen if the house is on your name and you, God forbid, are no longer here tomorrow? You think the bank's going to let your family stay there without payment? Is it easily going to be able to transfer over to your name if you don't have a will or a policy that takes care of that stuff? You can leave a headache and uncertainty on your family and let them deal with it when you pass on. The reality is, we all gonna pass on. There's nobody that's immoral. So, you have to just prepare and know these things. And if you address them right, and if you address them right when you're younger, it is a lot easier, like Billy said, because once you get that cancer, once you get that diabetes, once you get that high blood pressure, once you get any of those diseases, the terminally ill diseases, you are done for a lot of these benefits. They want to give you life insurance for $500,000 for as little as $30, man. You know, and that's only when you're younger. Now, the same thing, if you want to go get it when you're later in the 50s, they want to charge you $175 for the same policy. Come on, guys, this is it's right there. It's in writing. And then, like this is, are you covered? Are your insurance, is your family protected? Because you got to look at it. Not only is it for you, it's also for your family, man. Like, that's what made me change a lot of my stuff. Is when I realized, when I was having my kid in 2018, I ended up in the hospital, and I looked at it. I'm like, damn, dude, what if I actually didn't come back from the hospital? What would have happened to my daughters? What would have happened to my wife? And that's the same thing, with my business. I have a contingency plan in case something happens. How my business is gonna run? Who's gonna take over? Who's gonna make sure that it still provides for my family? So those are things. It's a tough question. It's a tough thing to handle and answer. But guys, if you plan it ahead, you will be way way better off, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's all I can say is you guys start young. I mean, if that means cutting back your lattes, cutting back a couple beers, it's all it takes, really.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
that little, that little. I stopped my lattes and I bought myself a Keurig, and which is still actually close to about 45 cents a cup. I cut that down even further. You want to start cutting, but you'd be surprised about that compounding thing that you were talking about. If I'm sitting there now, a cup of coffee is about $7 if I were still running through there. Plus you're tipping on the average, so about $7, $8 a cup. That's 5 times a day. Every day you go out to work, you pick one up, maybe even get the urge to go up on a Saturday. But 5 times a day, that's 52. 52, that's 250. You just do the math how much you end up spending. It's a lot of money just on coffee in 1 year. So if you should just take that and decide not to have a latte and just have a cup with creamer and cut that down to a $2 drink, that $4 would go a long ways the rest of your life if you started now.
Look, man, anybody that's in the investments, this is what they look at. They look at four pillars for your structure. Look at what's on the very bottom. It's protection. If you don't have protection, you ain't got no structure. Everything is based off of your protection, okay? And there's other stuff that you have to take care of, but you need to have a good pillar to stand on, or a good pyramid to stand on. And what Billy is saying is 100%. If you talk to any insurance guy, they're going to show you a diagram that's going to be similar to this. This is the IUL that Billy was talking about. If you start investing early, you're going to have compound interest that will just keep on growing, growing, growing. Compared to if you start late, you're going to have to work a lot more years and put a lot more money in to equal the guy that started early. It's facts. It's not made up. It's facts. And you can talk to insurance agencies. You can talk to some of these guys that offer these kind of protection plans. And if you don't have anybody, man, I have referrals. I have contacts that are people that I've dealt with for years now, that I've built relationships to know that they're not going to give you the BS bullshit plans or take advantage of you. Those are the things that I now, when I go into something new, is I'm always looking for referrals. Man, how long have you known this guy? What has he done for you? You know, the current guy that I've got that's got my family protected, he's got me planned since 2011, man. He's been with us for now 12 years. That's
You know,
why I
that's
trust him. And
that's
he's
been great.
now able to go into most of the country and do the same thing because now he's built a team. And that's the guy I want to be with, is a guy that's got a growth, that's got a long structure and plans. So like if you're in California and you need coverage, guess what? Some of my cousins wanted coverage in California. I was able to send one of his teammates over to their house, and they were able to lay out some plans, and they got some kind of coverage. Same thing with family up in New York. Same thing, man. It's like they now have a network, and now the same person can be the backbone, just like Billy is. He's the backbone of a lot of the film industry. A lot of guys can relate to him because they dealt with Billy once in their lifetime or more, and they can be like, yeah, Billy knows his shit because he's been in this damn thing for what, 40 years, right, Billy? Almost 40 years this year for you.
39 solid.
So I mean, dude, that's older than a lot of people that's watching the show. So you guys got to look at it that man. I mean, it takes time, and instead of you making your own mistakes, I know you're gonna make mistakes, and that's how you learn. But if you can skip some of those mistakes and learn from some of the old farts that have actually went through it and dealt with it, and if they can pass on that information over to you guys, and you can skip that, why not? Especially if it's coming to you for free, man. What's the harm in that? And I'm not
Yeah, I mean,
saying use my guy. I'm saying just use anybody, man. And if you don't have a person, reach out to one of us. We'll be more
and just
than happy
more,
to share our
and more
contents.
importantly, know your means, guys. Know your damn means. I see a lot of you rolling around some nice ink. I know how much that shit costs. You know what I mean? You roll around with some nice cars and stuff like that. Billy Aiton, when he was recovering, drove a $500, not recovering from anything, like recovering his credit, drove a $500 Fairmont. He went and took the extra time to put a $2,000 value system because he worked in the DEI and stuff like that. Got a bunch of stuff. Had the best sounding equipment because, hey, I had nice tires on there, nice smooth tires. The thing got me to point A and point B, and I enjoyed myself all the way there. Okay. It wasn't about impressing anything or anything like that because I learned a long time ago all that cash in that wallet really only going to get you impressing only certain types of people. You'll find the stereotypes because that's what attracts people. It's attracted to that cash. There's going to be a narrow-minded people that are attracted to that. So what what are you really trying to show? What are you trying to accomplish and stuff like that? I mean, that big money out there, it's really tempting just to sit there and have fun with it, guys. And I'm not going to say don't because I did, but I'm going to say that you better plan on not being able to do a lot later, which you probably could do more later in life than you can now in life with a little bit of money that you have that you think is good money versus sitting there going, hey, I'm going to go on vacation this week. Where are you going? Alaska? How much that cost you? Nothing. I put it on the points.
Exactly.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
look, man. I spent a $900 for my pops to go to California and back. A 4-day weekend trip. Went last Thursday. Just flew back in here today. $895 ticket. And then I upgraded him for another $120 to give him more leg room because he's 6'1". So, and guess what? $0 on that one. That was through my American Express points, you know. But Billy, thank you so much for being on here tonight, sir. I really
I hope I
appreciate
help some people. Don't be a fuck up like me. Excuse my language, but yeah,
it.
don't do it. Because it's a good time. But listen, I'll tell you something. Whatever really, really good tastes good for you, feels good for you, eventually turns out to be bad for you.
I can attest to that right now because I'm trying to lose weight, and everything that looks tempting and good to you, it is not good for you in your health. Same thing
Mhm,
goes in your
mhm.
financial situations.
I saw
If it
this girl walking
looks
by the other day. She looked real good. That ain't good for me. My old lady kill me. It's just some things just ain't good.
temptation.
I had to leave on a laugh, guys. You guys have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with Cash. Hopefully, you guys can learn some stuff from him because I wish the guy was around when I was a kid.
I appreciate you, Billy. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you know that you're saying that about me. And just being on this show, it means a lot that we can pass on some knowledge to some of these younger folks and even some of our own age guys that have not learned, that want to relearn. The one thing I will leave off with is that you are not going to be able to help yourself unless you are ready to help yourself. If you're going to take that step and you want to make that change, we're here to help you out whenever you're ready. It's your willingness and your ability to do it is what's going to get you there. Have a great night, y'all. See you on the